It's been a long while since I've used this camera, but I just want to show you my crazy setup for this video that you're about to watch. I have my DSLR there, mic here, and this wonderful reflector. I'll switch to my big camera, but you'll be able to see this shadow over here, so that's where that's coming from, but it kind of lightens up this area over here. Alright, now to the video. Hello, and welcome back to another video. I know it has been a very long while since I've made a video on this channel, but in the spirit of it being the end of 2018, at least it currently is, by the time this video shows up, it'll probably be a couple weeks into January for all I know. But I wanted to do a recap of my year, both kind of sort of in life and what happened on YouTube, or at least what you guys could see. So I started off the year moving to Dubuque because I still wanted to be around some of my friends that were still in college in Dubuque, and I wanted to eventually have a life in Dubuque and continue to live there. Obviously that's not where I'm at, and we're gonna go through that journey of why that didn't happen. But anyway, I moved to Dubuque, had a job there. I think I worked for like a week, then had a week off to go help my friends move from Iowa to California. Then on my way back, I got stuck at an airport, which I mean ultimately was my fault, but we're gonna not talk about that. However, because I got stuck, missed my flight, didn't understand what was going on, I was able to make a Casey Neistat parody that I've kind of always wanted to make, but was unable to because you kind of need to make it in an airport because of those like speed walking platform whatevers. That was fun. And if you watch that video again, you can see some people in the background kind of staring at me wondering what the crap I'm doing. Also, in order to make that, I spent a lot of time waiting for just the perfect gap where no one was on one of those walking platforms so that I could walk the wrong way long enough to make that video. A little while after getting back from that trip, I purchased my very first DSLR, and I purchased the Canon 80D. 80D, not AD anyway. And I've never had a DSLR. Like, I've used this guy for the longest time, the Canon G7X. Then I went kind of all out to make a new vlog rig. So I bought literally the tripod that literally everyone uses, the Joby GorillaPod. This is the 3K, but I feel like a lot of people use the 5K, which is a little bit bigger. And I might actually upgrade to the 5K if I want to use this big massive lens for vlogs or whatever in the future. I doubt it, but who knows. But the 5K will probably be able to support it more than this was, because I used this for my No Small Crater video, and this was bending like all get out with that massive lens on it. Anyway, I also bought the Rode Video Micro, which does not come with this long cord. It comes with a short red curly cord, but I swapped that out for my Video Mic Pro Plus, which I'm using right now, and I didn't want this massive cord. Anyway, so I bought those. And then I went on a coffee shop tour in Chicago with a friend of mine. At one of the stops, we managed to get a free cup of coffee on them. To this day, I do not know why. I don't know if it's because we mentioned to the guy that we're on a coffee shop tour. The guy didn't know that it wasn't a real coffee shop tour. That's just what we were calling it, because the intent was to go try coffees from a whole bunch of places in Chicago. Still don't know to this day why we got a free cup of coffee from them, but we did, and it was a great time. Then sometime either around there, before or after, I then sort of parted with my video podcast project that I started forever ago. That was a fun time. That was a good, solid learning experience for video editing and understanding why I would always have audio and video sync issues. Good time of learning. Then sometime in there, approaching like a month or so before June, when I started working in my college's kitchen again. It was the end of the year, a lot of people were dropping shifts. Then my boss in the kitchen prior called me and was like, hey, would you be willing to? And I was like, sure, I could use the money. And honestly, that time when I was working in the kitchen, I think is something that I personally needed. Not only so that I could be around friends more often, but also so I could talk with people who I trusted to figure out what on earth I was going to be doing going into the summer. Because I was trying to figure out between two camps that I was ultimately going to be going to this summer. There's one in California and one in Wisconsin. And after much talking with people. I ended up going to the one in Wisconsin, and I spent 3 months there. And while I was there, I met a whole lot of wonderful people, had a lot of important conversations with people that I don't think I will ever forget, and that were super helpful for me in that point of my life. And I cried a lot from those conversations and just thinking about everything. And while I was there, I learned that they had a winter retreat, which is going on right now at the time of me filming this, and I can't be there, and I would have loved to be there and take photos, but nothing worked out in my favor. So I digress. But while I was there over the summer, I got to learn programs that I never thought I'd be able to have or have opportunity to learn. But I got to learn how to use Lightroom, and because I had purchased a DSLR back in like February, I got to bring that with me over the summer, and I now had an excuse and a reason to learn more about using my brand new DSLR. And I luckily had a lot of help from not only videos on YouTube, but people who I was immediately around. And if anything, I kind of felt bad for this one particular person who helped me a lot in understanding what I should and should not do to take good photos, because I felt like I was probably being annoying as all get out. And if you're watching this, hi! But then as the summer was wrapping up, I started to worry about what on earth I was going to do after that, because I didn't have a job lined up because of the craziness that was going on in camp. I didn't really have time to try to job search. I had left the job that I was at in Dubuque to come work at this camp in Wisconsin. And so because of that, I ultimately came back home, which is where I'm at now. Unfortunately, I was a bad child and forgot to mention it to my parents until the day of me driving back. Hi! Then I came back home, made more tutorials. I was already making tutorials throughout the year, but around this time is when I got to partner with a couple different companies on different tutorials and reviews. Those are fun. Now I'm home, and as soon as I was home, I got a lot of messages of various kinds from my friends asking me, hey, when are you gonna come visit? And I'm like, I don't know. And I often, unfortunately, couldn't because of my job schedule. I was able to visit a few people, but not as many as I would have liked, and it's all because of my job schedule and not having a whole lot of weekends. But it was hard for me to not be able to visit some of my friends when I'm used to thriving off of the energy of my friends. So being around them, I kind of get in this like positive mindset. Like I internally feel happier about life, and the crap of the world can suddenly feel like it can go away. But I digress. One of the other reasons why it was hard for me to not be able to go visit them is just because I feel like I am in a way kind of letting them down, and that's hard for me because that's not something I want to do, and it's not entirely my fault because my schedule didn't necessarily allow it, and it's not the type of job where I can ask someone to fill in for my spot. Again, I digress. However, because of the craziness of my job and how physically exhausting it is, I often find that it's a struggle for me to create stuff for either of my channels, which is why my tech channel has looked a little dead, and my vlog channel, which always looks dead, because I am just one person editing videos for two channels. And it's easier to make a tutorial because I can just talk about how to use stuff versus my vlog channel, which feels like I actually need to be going somewhere or doing something that's worth recording or documenting, unless I have thoughts about something, in which case I'll just do a sit-down video like I am right now. But because of the exhaustion and all the things that were going on in my life, like I knew I needed to take time to learn Adobe Premiere and After Effects and Illustrator, and I know I have other responsibilities. It just felt like I had a lot to do, and when you just have too much to do, you just kind of feel like you don't want to do any of it. And that's what I let happen over the past couple weeks, months. And I just kind of chose to just chill and relax and just not do any of it. But I've kind of gotten to this point where I need to change my mindset. And I talked about this with someone in the No Small Creator Facebook group, which I might link down below. I did talk with someone about how I need to quit letting my exhaustion become an excuse for not creating. I've kind of come to this point where I need to learn to be able to create more than I consume. Otherwise, I'm not going to get content made for either of my channels. I'm not going to have time where I can just talk to a camera and get my thoughts out of my brain and shared with the world. Or if I have crazy creative ideas, they're never going to get made if I keep consuming the content. Because time spent consuming content is time wasted for creating. That's something I need to learn to do, is to create more than I consume. Or if I absolutely feel like I need to consume some content for the sake of my own mental health, just to have something to laugh at, to find some positivity from in my day, then just try to limit myself, which is hard to do when it's so easy to go down the YouTube rabbit hole. But ultimately, it's all a mind over matter thing. So conquer the desire to want to keep watching content and just keep creating. I can say that, but ultimately it will all come down to my actions. So I know there's some other people in the Facebook group who are like, hey, let's all keep each other accountable. And because I'm making this video on my channel, I suppose viewers can do that to me too. Shoot. On the flip side is the time spent needing to do adult-like things. Don't take that out of context. Don't do it. And by adult-like things, I mean applying for jobs in the field I'd like to be in, which is harder than you'd think. At least trying to find jobs in the areas that I would like to live in. Among the other adulting things involves switching over to my own car insurance and other wonderful things along that line. Then lastly, another reason why I am home is to take some time to spend on my own career growth, which means spending a lot of time learning new stuff like Premiere, After Effects, and Adobe Illustrator and all that wonderful jazz, because a lot of the places I've tried to apply at require you to have X amount of years experience in the Adobe Creative Suite, which I don't have. So I'm taking time to try to build myself up as quickly as possible in those applications and then apply for jobs and just cross my fingers, because I've used Final Cut for the longest time. There's nothing wrong with Final Cut. I personally like it. I loved it. I had a bunch of plugins for it, and now I have to switch over to Premiere, and so far it's not bad. And I've also wanted to spend more time just taking photos for the sake of taking photos and then sharing them on Instagram, because it looks nice. I enjoy sharing to Instagram, but also it is also motivational to have people give your photo a like or give some feedback, especially when it's a photo that I didn't necessarily feel super confident about, but I knew it looked good in the seasonal color spectrum change that I'm attempting. So in other words, yes, I am attempting a grid, sort of. I blame Peter McKinnon. So now it is 2 days away from the end of 2018, and that basically wraps up my entire 2018 and what everything has gone on, mostly in my own personal life, but also in YouTube life. So that basically does it for this video. That's how my 2018 went, and I'm hoping for an even better 2019. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can get a big thumbs up. You can go subscribe to the respective channels and see my previous video in the end card, and I will see you guys next time. Okay? Bye.